style guides. I say 3 fonts here, but I would say 2 fonts is good rule. If you're in this workshop, 2 fonts is a good rule. You know, if you didn't need to be in the workshop, then you can do whatever you want to with fonts. Now, with 2 fonts is a good rule. And it doesn't even need to be 2 different types of fonts. So you have a title font, and then you have a body font, and then if you wanted to go with a 3rd font, or maybe 4, you could have like a title font, and then you could have a heading 1 type font, a body font, maybe like a heading 2 or an emphasis type font. So the idea is you have 2 or 3, 4, whatever you want to do, but you determine what those are, determine the styling of them. Like in this image here, I changed it when I was messing around with it, but really it's just one font family. So, and this is just, I think it's Arial, but whatever it is, it's just the same font family, but the title font is larger and a different color, and then this would be like maybe the heading 1 or emphasis font, and then the body font. But it's just predetermined that, again, being intentional. So don't just run with the font that you have. A good rule of thumb is if it's a really fat font, that's a good title font. If it's weird looking, it's a title font. If it's weird looking, it's not legible when you use it as a body font. So that's a good rule of thumb. And then, font sizes, kind of predetermine those things and then use it consistently through the course. So what fonts am I going to use? How am I going to style those? And then at what point do I use those? And then that'll solve one of those franking course issues, right? So you'll have a consistent use of the fonts that you have. You've determined what font to use. And then you can kind of come up with some sort of style guide like this. Just a simple sheet. The place I used to work at, we'd have a simple sheet that would, this is the course. I've got this is what my body font's going to be. These are the color schemes, whatever it is. But you can come up with a real simple style guide. It doesn't have to be overly detailed. It's really just one page. If you're working in PowerPoint, you can create a PowerPoint slide that has all the styling on it, and then it's just a matter of format painting to modify the style or apply it to your new content. 2 colors is another good rule. Again, you can use as many colors as you want, but if you're in a workshop, it means you're trying to learn the 2 colors. If you're a color expert, use as many colors as you want. The colors don't look as good on the screen here, but these 6 colors, there's really no rhyme or reason. They call them accent, but it's really just 6 color boxes. So there's accent 1, accent 2, accent 3. And then you can see with the accent colors, you have the different tones. So what I would recommend is what I do when I do the free templates. I always start my main color with accent 1. And then I try to use accent 2 as kind of my accent color. So these really should be just called box 1, box 2, because there's no rule to how you can use those. But if you're building templates and you're using PowerPoint, and it works the same way in QuizMaker and Storyline, figure out how you want to use the colors and then just use them consistently. So then when you want to change your color schemes, you'll always know accent 1 is my main color, accent 2 might be my accent color, complementary color to the main color, and accent 3 might be, maybe that's your font color, whatever you want to do. So you've got 6 colors to use, and then within the 6 colors you have 6 different tones or versions of that color. So when you're building a course, a real simple rule is just pick 2 colors to start with. Let's see here. Just pick 2 simple colors to start with, so you have like a main color and then an accent color. Now if you're like me, I have color issues. That's why I always wear the same outfits, by the way. If you ever go to anything, I'm always wearing a blue shirt and khaki tight pants. My wife has this, every trip she tells me she's going to go buy me other shirts and sneak them into the suitcase. But I always worry that I'll be wearing the wrong colors and stuff. So I figure I'm good to go with my uniform. So I'm not a good color person when it comes to doing a bunch of detail. Like if you want me to look at a bunch of colors and pick accent colors and stuff, I'm the wrong person. Your course is going to look weird. But the thing is, I know enough about colors. If I pick like a main color, so let's say this dark green here becomes my main color, and I want an accent color, complementary color, which is just going to be across the color wheel, is a good way to go. And what's nice is if you go to the Kuhler site, it's KULER.com, and I think we have the link on that webpage. And there's other color scheming sites, but you can find a main color, punch that in there, and we can actually look at that, so to see how that works. So if we go to Kuhler, oops, it's Kuhler.adobe.com. So if I go to Kuhler, and let's say I have a green, let's say this is my main color here, this green here, right? Let's see here. So I'm going to create a scheme here. So if I got a color, let's say I want this darker green. I'll move this here, make it a little darker, right? So let's say this was my main color. They give me kind of a mathematical process where they derive color. So if I want like a complementary color, so there's my green. When I click complementary, see it's going to pull colors that are directly across it on the color wheel. So it's going to give me, 5 good colors here to work with. So I've got a nice complementary color. And it doesn't matter if I move this. See, it's all kind of mathematically works the same way. So it's a good way to build out color schemes. So then one is you're consistent in how you use a color. So going back to that accent 1, accent 2, the 5 or 6 color boxes that you have. If you use those consistently when you design schemes, and you always know accent 1 is that main color, then that would always be this color that you have in the center. And then maybe accent 2 is always this second color, and accent 3 is this, accent 4 is this, accent 5. So you'd always have the same way that you apply those colors, and then when you go to change your templates or work with your color scheming, that consistency, that process, you can just build your course, build out your stuff in PowerPoint if that's what you're using. Just use that default blue box and the colors that you get. Don't even worry about your colors. You can change your color scheme, just build a new theme and apply it, and then it'll change it automatically to everywhere where you've used the color scheme. But coming up with a way that you work with the color schemes, come up with a consistent approach. Some people don't do that, so they just say, I've got 6 colors, and they just start picking colors and getting them to look right. But then the next time they go, maybe they want to change that color scheme, right? You've come up with a brand, now I've got to change all the colors. Well, you didn't have a consistent process, so it becomes a mess trying to do that, because then you change the colors, and you've got to then go change all the objects individually. So understanding, again, that intentionality, understanding the tool, understanding how to work with colors in there, and then coming up with a consistent process when you're using the tools. So every tool is going to be a little different how it works with colors, but whatever tool that you're using, figure out how the color scheming works, and then come up with a system. And it's another idea, I call this my floating style guide. It works when you're working in tools where you have a format painter. So if you're using, how many people are using a PowerPoint to flash tools? So Articulate Presenter or the other tools? Okay, so the bulk of you. So if you're using PowerPoint, this works well. I can't remember now off the top of my head if it works this way. Do we have a format painter in Quizmaker? No, we don't have that. Storyline has a format painter. Other tools, they all work a little different. But in PowerPoint, and even if you're just using PowerPoint at work, this is a good tip here. I create this floating style guide. And so the idea is whatever styling I want, because I don't really like working in the templates because I find them a little too rigid for me. It's funny because when I first started teaching PowerPoint years ago, I always told people to start with the templates because then it's easier to make master changes, but I actually don't like to do that now. But I think that's just part of, as you gain expertise, you become a little more comfortable with the tools. But what I would do is, like when I built this presentation deck out, what I did is I have this floating style guide here. So you'll notice right here I've got, this is formatted, the text is, the box is centered. I've got a styling on here with my font and colors, same thing here. I've got a certain box, so I know I'm going to build, I need a box in the course, and I want it to be consistent, right? What I can do is, the way I would work if I'm working a PowerPoint deck, let's say I'm working on this slide here, I have my floating panel which has all my styling on it, and I know I'm going to put a text box in here. I would just copy, I'm going to do this text box, I come here, and then I've got, it's already styled up. Or if I just do this, I say, okay, I know I've got all my text on the screen, needs to be this styling, I just do Format Painter, and then I can apply it. And I'm kind of moving that slide with me as I'm working, but it's got all my style stuff on it. So my shapes, because a lot of times the fonts and stuff's not that hard, but you build these shapes and maybe there's certain gradients you have and shadows or whatever that you've done. And a lot of times we waste time because every time we go to a slide, we rebuild that. Or we're jumping back. Oh, I like what I did on slide 20, so you jump back to slide 20, you copy, you jump all the way back, you paste it. Well, think through all of the styling that you're going to do, put it on one slide, and as you're working on the course, you just keep moving that slide down with you.